Hello, welcome back to Skyrocket Automotive. It's after hours. Update on Nigel. It is not good news. Come with me, I'll show you on the workbench. I took Nigel's sump plug out in order to change the oil, obviously, and picture on screen now. Those are metal shavings. In fact, that's a whole ass piece of metal right there. Also, this oil filter is not bueno either. Can you see the glitter? Like a disco ball. Now I've finished making a mess like a toddler with a chainsaw. I'm going to go ahead and pop this over on the bench for instigation. Get rid of it. I don't want to look at it anymore. Be gone. This oil pan is the worst thing I've ever bought. If you were an apprentice, I'd have you shot. Unbelievable. Well, I mean, did one of my teeth come out while I was doing this oil change? Is that what happened? There it is. Ignore the white bits. There's a little bit sparkling and a shimmering. When we couple that with what's going on with our oil filter, quite a lot of particulates in the filter, which obviously is what the filter's for. Okay. Fundamental problem, also ironically one of the things that makes the Mini so cool, is that the gearbox and the engine share the same oil. The problem I've got is where's it coming from? That's a serious amount of filings. But weirdly, if this was engine bearings, like mains, I'd expect to see, I never assume anything. I may be thinking of the incorrect bearing material for this particular engine, but generally, bearing material tends to be a bronzy gold colour for the most part. That's not a hard and fast rule. Please do not assume that everything from now on, if it's bearings, is going to be goldy coloured. Obviously, all manufacturers use all manner of different combinations of materials. We need more data before we act. We can't just assume. Here's what's going to be my process with this. I'm going to recommend to the owner that we change the oil and filter. I mean, that's not going back in there, is it? And we stay the course. Why am I kneeling on the floor doing this? I could be telling you guys this in a much more comfortable position. Let me just... I pulled all my wrist hair out. Right, you might think I'm mental for just sending it. That's fine. That's your opinion. I would say failing mains and failed mains are basically the same thing. They're going to need replacing. So why not go into the work that you're about to do more informed? We don't have enough data at the moment to know what's wrong with this engine. And yeah, we'll find out, because at some point that engine has to come out. The engine has to come out even if it's the gearbox. For those of you who already know, just double tap the screen. I just need to let people who don't know. On a Mini, the gearbox is in the sump. The gearbox oil and the engine oil are the same thing. So the trouble is with that is if the gearbox is grinding itself to powder, that ends up in the engine oil, and the engine might be fine. Likewise, the gearbox might be fine, and it might be the engine. We might have a ring hanging up after been hanging up for a long time. We'd have a lot more blue smoke if it was that, in my opinion. This is a strange one that needs to be handled carefully. And I'll obviously go home and do some research, and if I'm way off base, you know what I'll do? I'll just tell you I was way off base, and I'm going to keep this information in here because it's important for you guys to see the train of thought, because you might have the same thing yourself. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm just going to go, I knew what this was the entire time. That's not how it works. Sometimes you have to go down 7 dead ends mentally before you go, hang on a minute, there's something to that idea. Let's look at that. So I'll probably be back on another video. This might just be a little mini update. Sorry, I just made a terrible pun and I didn't mean to. I'll probably catch you guys in another little video. Maybe I'll do this as a mini series. I can't help it. I might just do a little series with little update videos about Stay tuned. I think this is going to get interesting. I would much prefer it get interesting when I've got the space, Nigel, because I am absolutely chocker in here at the moment. Need Barney's Beetle sorted, need Paul's Rocco done.
Yep. I can't get away from it. It's everywhere. There's so much to do.
Right, anyway, ta-ra, see you later, bye. See ya, bye. Excuse me, I need to get by you, sorry. Hello, buy me dinner first. All right, we got updates. This was the correct select as far as not going any further because I spoke to the customer. I hadn't got a chance to talk to the customer until this point, and it transpires there's a pipe just here. Zoom in, Kyle, please. There's a pipe just here. A few years ago, that pipe split somehow, and the owner limped it to another garage. It was only a couple of miles, but by the time it got there, it had almost no oil in it. And as far as I can tell, they repaired the pipe, filled the oil up just to see, is everything all right? And yeah, it's an A series. So it was like, what? Something happened, did it? So I got a feeling that Nigel, for a couple of miles, just ran his own little machine shop in there. He just finessed everything, fine tuning. You got to lap your bearings in, you got to lap your piston rings in, lap the camshaft in, all the gears, every now and again, kind of like an intermittent fasting diet. He went without oil to better himself. Anyway, long story cut short, the car has done 4,000 miles in 2 and some change years. The magnetic sump plug has got a massive magnet on it. It sits for long periods of time. So it's entirely possible, and it stands to reason, that that swarf is the remnant of that little situation. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the oil, finish the last couple of bits, book it in for an MOT, and then he's going to come back in a month. We're going to drop the oil, check the sump plug. That's a damn sight cheaper than blowing the engine apart when the engine seems quite happy with itself at the moment. So we've got some nice 2050 oil. I have done some research. There are some people that say 1040 on these later engines. However, the basic design of this engine is 60 years old. And I think 2050 is probably going to be more sympathetic, especially if things are a little bit more jiggly than they were before. So yeah, we'll throw some 2050 in and a new filter. We'll fire him up, see if he comes up to temp. If he comes up to temp and idles at a reasonable speed, I'm just going to carry on. And then I'll take him for a really good drive around site if I can get an MOT booked in as soon as possible. And you can go home, mate. See? Well done. Have you finished drinking that yet? What else can I can put this grill on while we wait, I suppose. Some folks about, well played. What you say? Yeah. Perfect, look at that. That's great fitment. I've got a horrible hunch, but enough about my posture. It never gets old. This front end's gonna rattle like buggery now that it idles properly because the bottom... When I grow up, I want to be... I've got to get it back. It's absurd to not. Torch. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. What's the deal with the Baja? Yep. That's what I want to know too, because I've tuned lots and lots of air cooleds. I have never come across a Beetle that refuses to run like that one refuses to run. It breaks up just above, it's just feeding in the throttle to pull away is normally when it really starts getting aggy. It's fouling plugs, regardless of jetting. I've done the spindle bushes, I've done all sorts. It's just one of them cars that's gotten into my head. The owner is a very nice chap, and Nigel, he's understanding of the fact that it just is what it is. Please, Nigel, I didn't do this to you. What are you doing? Basically, I'm very much au fait with air-cooled engines. Me and air-cooled engines go way back. I have done everything on that engine, and it just does not seem to matter what I do on it. It refuses to run right. So we're mystery solving. Mini sidewalk, more like mini. Looking forward to blurring every last bit of that out. Have you got enough oil yet, mate? I hope you're picking up that I'm looking at my watch, Nigel. This is taking ages. Halfway between the min and max. We want to go to very slightly over full. What do you mean? What do you mean? What I mean is we only partly filled that filter. So we want to go just a skosh, scientific for small amount, past full. And that should land us, after we've run the engine, that should land us smack on the maximum. All right, oil pressure warning light's gone out. Do you know, that's quieter than it's ever been. I wonder if it had the wrong oil in it. Normally, I would immediately turn the engine off at this point, but that oil is so thick, I want to get some heat in it so that once it's warm, it will sink back down quicker and we can check on the level. It's clearly not low. Good lad, listen to that. Excellent. As you can hear, you wouldn't believe this engine had all that crap sitting in the bottom of the sump, would you? So I'm just going to cycle the gears, try and feed some of that oil to the synchro as well. It's nice and clean. Over at a 45-degree angle, back at a 42-degree angle, forward into third at a 72.968-degree angle, back into fourth at a 68.259-degree angle, and then over at a 180-degree angle into neutral, and then lift and over to the right and back at a 27.18, not 0.19, not 0.17 angle for reverse, and back into neutral. Gearbox feels lovely, actually, really does. Little bit of clutch. Yep. Good lad. Right. Start things draining back at a... Whoa, sorry fella. Didn't mean to do that, right? Apologies. Awful lot of waiting around with classic cars that you can't charge a customer for. So I normally try and do stuff while I'm waiting for stuff, but that is... Put it that way. You're on TED, and I'm waiting for that. Where does that warm-up regulator rebuild kit go? It hasn't been delivered yet. I need to chase that. Don't even ask about the bug. And Alvin needs welding. So, Nigel it is. Not like I'm not at work. Right, hold my brew, Nigel. Cheers, mate. Sending the last lot down. We'll take it over and see what it needs. Once I've done these last couple of bits, hopefully the emissions will be all right. And then that should be it. Right. Rocco out, Mini in its place. Okay, this is our apparently corroded brake line. That is just surface rust where the coatings come off. So we're going to give that a really good clean up. And then we're off, mate. Best of luck, Nigel. To further prove my point, I've just removed the flaky stuff. That brake line is no worse than the rest of the brake lines on the car, so why it was advised, I don't know. Right, let's go. Alright, so far so good. I really like the way this little car drives. I know minis are fun, but there's something about an SPI. I like it. What's our operating temp? Just a skosh below the normal operating dot. That's not surprising. It is -3 today, and we have got that slightly colder thermostat in there. Still waiting for the 88-degree to show up. It's meant to have been here for like 3 days. They're very bouncy, obviously. It's a Mini at the end of the day. I think it's got an engine mount going. Bit of a tonk when you pull away. I know you're supposed to throw them around, but it's not my Mini. You can probably tell that it's cold today. The heater still isn't brilliant. They've got a rubbish heater valve in these. It's just like a choke knob. In fact, I wouldn't mind betting they're probably reused choke cables and they just changed the little plastic insert that goes in them. So you have to pull it out for heat and push it in for cold. It's not working particularly well. The single speed fan, even in 1995-6. So I've booked Nigel in. I normally use the guys around the back of me. They're rammed. So I've booked him in with the guys over at Four Winds, and yeah, fingers crossed all will be well. Like I say, we've reached normal operating temperature now, so we're fully warmed smoky? Does it smell rich? Like I say, we clean up that brake pipe. Are we going to get some of the classic mini gearbox whine as we shift down? Love it. Absolutely love it. We've got our list of things it failed on. 3 out of the 4 items that were considered major fails were all to do with emissions. The fact we are attaining normal operating temp on the gauge says to me we've probably hit our magic temperature. After all, 82 degrees is just the opening temp of the thermostat. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lock the engine down at that temp. So we might have been able to buy the extra 6 degrees. If I've had some time away from a Mini, I'm like, I don't get them. I don't know why everybody's always so harping on about them like they're the ultimate classic car. I still wouldn't say they're the ultimate classic car, but then I drive one. And I mean, granted, I'm not a big guy. Well, I am a bit of a fat bloke, but I'm 5'9". I'm not tall. And I'm sort of middle 15 stone, so I am a chubby fucker. But basically, this is the only car, every time I get in one, I'm always surprised. It's the only car that I'm too big for, and I feel like I'm having the time of my life. Shock horror. British guy likes way mini drives, I know, but I don't really drive them. I seldom have much to do with minis. I know my way around them, but I just don't know many people that own minis. There are, obviously, you got to think the Mini was built at Cowley for so many years. There are endless Mini specialists in the area, so they just get taken there normally. But I'm gonna zone out now and drive to the MOT station. I'll be back later on at the workshop. Right. Oh. Okay, let's find somewhere to pull over quick. Will do nicely. Merry Christmas, Nigel. Merry Christmas, Kyle. Clean sheet, baby. Immaculate pass. Over the moon. Flew through the emissions, flew through everything else. Well done, Nigel. Good lad. You get to go home in time for Christmas. Look at that. What a good old boy. Okay. Well, that's one less thing I've got to worry about today. One less thing to think about over the Christmas break. I was cutting it fine too, because they're shut now. So those boys are shutting for Christmas. I don't blame them. I won't be. But yeah, they're having they're off from today. So it was now all 2025, mate. Proud of you, Nigel. I'm going to give him a little clean because he's got a bit grubby in the workshop. Not my fault, it was the situation with the heater matrix when it gadooshed everywhere. We Google a foo. It just made a bit of a mess. This is what I mean about, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here at all, but this is the importance of thinking things through and doing what's needed. This engine is spot on. The gearbox is spot on. Just put it to one side, that situation with the oil, until next month when we can inspect it again and we'll know more. So the customer hasn't had to pay. This could have escalated big time. You've got to think that could have been engine completely pulled down, gearbox apart, to find an issue that isn't there. Likewise with the fueling issue, acted in the best interest of the customer and the car. So again, you should have had that engine apart, there's something wrong there. Okay, you want to tell the customer that they're going to have to spend top end of the hundreds into the early thousands starting to blow everything apart, measure everything, have everything sent off, skimmed and crack tested, to put it all back together again and then go, I don't know, actually, not sure. Because I'm not doing that. We did what the car needed and he flew through the MOT, no issues at all, completely clean sheet, which I like. We like a clean sheet. It was coolant temperature that was causing our emissions issue. There's no smoke, there's no rattles, no bangs, knocks, nothing from the engine. The gearbox doesn't groan or whine any more than a mini gearbox groans and whines. It's happy. And I'm happy. I get to go and have a break over Christmas with one less car on my mind, which is good because there have been a couple of escalations, should we say. Are you back at the workshop? Oh, Nigel. Come on, brother, what's your problem? Oh, it looks to be coming from down there. Probably water pump gasket. Nothing I've done, thankfully. I've checked everywhere that I've worked and we're good, so. Not cool, buddy. I have to go and ring your owner now. Alright, so Nigel is not forthcoming. Little sod. Oh, just that's cars. What can I say? That's cars. Nigel is leaking quite a lot of coolant. It's nowhere near anything I've done. It's just one of them. The trouble is the car's only done 4,000 miles in the last like 3 years, so it's barely been driven, and it's been sitting around a lot. So maybe it was just its time. Maybe where I've cleared out a lot of the crap in the cooling system, a bit of gaskets let go, something. But there was nothing there at all at the MOT station. Nothing at all at when I stopped at the parts place. And it was only when I parked him up outside that there was any sign that there was any leaks. So it is what it is. I am not stopping. I'll be off for a couple of days over Christmas, but everybody else is having like a week off or whatever. I've just got too much to do. So I will be having Christmas off, and then between Christmas and my birthday I'll be back, and then my birthday I'll have off. Straight back on it on New Year's Eve. Do it all again next year. This isn't going to be the last video from this year, but the upload schedule might be a little bit all over the place because I've actually got a backlog of videos. Saturday Club I need to do tomorrow. That's been 2024 thus far. Like I say, there might be a couple of other bits and pieces. Obviously I've got a lot of footage from Ted here. This, I'm so pissed off and gutted for the owner. So this looks like a really clean little Rocco, and it is, in fairness, up top, but it needed a CV boot for the MOT, and I put the jack under there and went to jack it up, and the jack went straight through the sill. It's just filler and blackjack splattered over what I presume was a small amount of corrosion a few years back, which is a shame, but it's fixable. It's only about yay big. Might even be smaller than that once everything's back in place, but obviously where the jack penetrated the sill, it's bent stuff, which is to be expected. So I'll probably be doing that over the Christmas break. And then obviously Alvin, still need to weld Alvin, and the Beetle. I made this. It's a nice feeling. 10 years of solid failure, and I'm still by no means successful, but it's a start. And all you can do sometimes is start. Right, if I don't see you before because YouTube decides not to show you any more videos, Merry Christmas everybody. Thank you so much for watching over the last, Christ, it's been 10 months. February was when I did the first Carla video. Haven't forgotten about Carla, by the way. There are some cars in here that are taking up her space. I have got such a great plan to conclude. It won't even be a conclusion, it will be the beginnings of many funny, silly adventures. Yeah, so anyway, thank you so much for watching over the last 10 months. It means the world to me as well, the amount of support and nice comments, and it's just good to see the same guys every week, like coming by and checking in. It's cool. Yeah, Happy New Year. I hope everything that you're working towards next year happens for you, and I will see you in the next video, whatever that will be. Ta-ra! I really need to get that car in there before it dribbles coolant all over the forecourt. Bye-bye!